Would you be open to making this one of the most rewarding times of your life?
This is an amazing opportunity for us to become more of who we have chosen to be as human beings.
Hi, I'm Rev Neusom from the Unity of the Triangle community, and we are here to invite you to a new series.
We're exploring self-acceptance and love so that we might be at peace no matter what is happening.
Join us every Sunday at 9 and 11.
As we become more accepting, we will find that all our suffering is leading us into a sense of grace and fulfillment.
Would you be open to making this one of the most rewarding times of your life?
This is an amazing opportunity for us to become more of who we have chosen to be as human beings.
Hi, I'm Rev and he's Reverend Neusom from the Unity of the Triangle community, and we are here to invite you to a new series.
We're exploring self-acceptance and love so that we might be at peace no matter what is happening.
Join us every Sunday at 9 and 11.
As we become more accepting, we will find that all our suffering is leading us into a sense of grace and fulfillment.
Would you be open to making this one of the most rewarding times of your life?
This is an amazing opportunity for us to become more of who we have chosen to be as human beings.
Hi, I'm Rev and he's Rev Neusom from the Unity of the Triangle community, and we are here to invite you to a new series.
We're exploring self-acceptance and love so that we might be at peace no matter what is happening.
Join us every Sunday at 9 and 11.
As we become more accepting, we will find that all our suffering is leading us into a sense of grace and fulfillment.
This heart is mine, its love is ours. May their light shine and reach the stars. Though peace is pure and real, so pain is true. We must endure to feel. What else can we do? I've no desire for what this fighting is for. We can't fight fire with fire, nor war with war. The antidote to terror lies in peace. Only love can cure this world's disease. This heart is mine, its love is ours. May their light shine and reach the stars. Though peace is pure and real, so pain is true. We must endure to feel. What else can we do? I've no desire for what this fighting is for. We can't fight fire with fire, nor war with war. The antidote to terror lies in peace. Only love can cure this world's disease. Only love can cure this world's disease.
Good morning. We at Unity of the Triangle are happy you're here.
We're really extremely happy to see you again and to know that we're in for a beautiful service this morning.
Yeah, I think we've been working on this series, which I've been calling The Last Mile, which is connecting our deep spiritual thoughts with the last mile, meaning our own personal lives, and bringing it into reality.
As I have been sitting through your talks, Neusom, this phrase keeps coming to mind and heart. It says, what you resist persists, and what you embrace transforms. And I guess that the essence of what we're trying to express here with this series and its upcoming weeks, it's how willing and open we need to be to embracing it all.
Yeah. So true, Anna. I think you said that really well.
Also, I want to take this opportunity right from the beginning of our service to just thank not only the people from our own spiritual community, but those who somehow have been divinely guided to our space. We so appreciate your comments, your support, and I feel, and I'm sure you feel too, Neusom, that in spite of this coronavirus situation, somehow we are expanding. We're expanding in love, we're expanding in faith, and probably numbers.
Yeah, I think everything you said is right. I think this is a time of expansion, and it is because we are not really limited by the physical world. We are expanding in new ways electronically, which is a form of physical world, but also spiritually. We're opening to a deeper understanding of ourselves and each other.
And you know, like the saying says, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. And we just need to trust that whoever is ready for this message somehow will be led to us. So we are grateful for that divine order.
And to borrow your idea, the coronavirus is our teacher.
Yes.
And I guess we were all ready for that one.
Yes. Anyways, I'm really looking forward to this service again, Reverend Neusom. And I'm sure we can get started with some of Mimi's beautiful prayers.
Yeah, let's begin with prayer.
Our beautiful church building is not the heartbeat of our church. Our spiritual community, made up of people like you and me, is the soul of our church. So as a community, let us pray. Each of us is the heart and soul of our spiritual community. So we come together in prayer to create a group consciousness of love, joy, and acceptance. We know the divine is everywhere present, in every heart, in every situation, and in every place imaginable. In unity with Spirit, we claim our oneness and interconnectedness with each other, with all of nature, and the entire world. knowing our oneness is not dependent on time or distance. Together we lift up the hearts and minds of each other, including every name in this prayer box. Our collective consciousness not only binds us together, but also magnifies the highest possibilities, the highest truth, and the highest good for our entire planet. Through prayer and meditation, we activate this collective power to bring peace, wholeness, safety, and love to every individual and situation that may be struggling to hold this truth for themselves. With grateful hearts, we rest in the assurance that we are never alone and that our spiritual community is expressing the divine wherever we are. And so we let it be. Amen.
As we enter into meditation, let us begin by getting our bodies in a position that's comfortable, that allows us to be awake and yet relaxed and at ease. So as we shift the body, we become ready to meditate. So let's start with the breath. And the breath is the first thing, almost always. Just pay attention to the breath, to let the breath be a gentle reminder to be in the body, to be relaxed, and to be in awareness. So we feel the breath come in and we feel the breath go out. And as we do that, we bring all our attention into this one place and become singular with our attention so that we might develop concentration. And bring the focus of the breath to the heart, to the center of the chest, a few inches above the soft of the belly. Feel and breathe into this part of the body. Let the feeling of love begin to flow out of your heart now into your body, so that the whole body begins to vibrate like the heart with love and acceptance. Put a little Buddha smile on. And send your love out into the world and connect with all that is through your heart. And as the heart expands, and begins to merge actually with all that is, contemplate the thought that you and all that is really one. And this sense of separateness is just a practice thought. So as we stay in this place of exploration with our hearts open, sensing into the idea and the experience that we are one with everything. Let us let our breath continue into the heart so that we might fuel this awareness and our oneness. As we move into silence.
Give us this day our daily bread. You said you would supply all my needs according to your riches. I have but to ask, and I shall receive. This
I hope you're having a great day, because I have a story I want to relate to you that hopefully will bring a smile to your face. Anyway, so Abraham Lincoln was once asked why he kept a negative and disagreeable member of his cabinet. And he answered the man saying this. He said, "I was once walking along a country road and I saw a man trying to plow a field with a very old and tired horse. And there was a horsefly about to bite that horse on his flank, and Abraham Lincoln went to wipe it away, and the farmer said, 'Don't do that. If you do that, this horse won't move at all.'" And so what the story seems to say to me is essentially this, is that the irritants of our life really often are what compel us to do the best person that we can be, to unfold, to become better, to become somebody. And without them, we probably don't become our best. So I'd like to take this idea that I've heard and said another way, no scar, no story, and expand it a little bit into this moment when so many of us are feeling uncomfortable and out of sorts, largely because, for no fault of our own, we are asked to not be out in public and to meet with people and to be very careful and always wear a face mask when we're with more than our immediate family. It's different, and it's not all that fun. One day, I will say this, no matter how scarring this may feel, we will have a story. The whole world will have a story about what's happened. And you were there, and you'll have that story. In the last week, I saw a TV show I had never seen before, and the name of it is Alone. And I thought, oh, this looks interesting because that's what most of us are dealing with. Maybe I should look at that. Well, I picked it up in season 6, and in season 6, the producers put 10 contestants on an island in the Arctic in Canada. They were isolated from each other, and they could only bring 10 items for survival and no food. And they were going to be paid, well, actually, only one was going to be paid. The winner, who could stay the longest, was going to be paid $500,000 for being the last one to leave. I got to tell you, these people knew how to do suffering. They really had it bad. They didn't drop them off in the middle of summer. It was September 15th. And so they had only a little bit of time to collect berries, and then it got colder and colder. Eventually, those who stayed toward the end lost 25% of their body weight, and most of them were extracted by the medical team that said, if you stay any longer, you may die. But there was a few of them who were pretty adept at it. There were 2 men. It was like half men, half women. And it wasn't like the men were doing better than the women or the women were doing better than the men. They both were right to the end. But the 2 people who actually seemed to be able to manage this time in the wilderness the best were these 2 men. One was an Air Force guy, and one had spent a lot of time with the people who live in the Arctic in Russia, and he had lots of technique, and so did the Air Force trained guy. The Air Force trained guy, though, had a family that he could not get over not being with. And so this didn't go on for a week. It didn't go on for a month. It went on, this was at like 2 months and change. This guy says, I am out of here. I can't stand to be away from my family. I've got food. I have shelter worked out. He could actually have endured quite a bit longer, except he couldn't stand it. He couldn't stand being away from people. And the other guy, he had food and shelter worked out, and apparently he could stand it because he was the last man standing. And I thought that this show affected me so much, and I think because I could relate to it in minor ways. I had been on expeditions where we were short food, maybe only 10 days, and we had like 3 days worth of food, but you know, you could live through that pretty easily. This endurance these people put to it, and they were filming themselves as they did it. And they would be looking into the camera and they would break out crying. Even the really hard guys, they would just start bawling. And it was clear that isolation brings things to the surface in ways that you don't have otherwise. I remember doing a 30-day silent meditation retreat. And during this time, you weren't completely silent. You got to meet with a therapist every twice a week, and the therapist that I liked, I went to see afterwards, and I could tell he was very disappointed in me. Well, didn't say anything, but he was disappointed in my openness when I got out into the world, and I was trying to do life again, and I would go to meet him, and things moved much more slowly, because I was not in this vulnerable state that I was while sitting in meditation and in silence and more or less in isolation through that time period. And I think one of the things that's happening to us as a collective is that we're becoming more sensitive. I think this is part of the reason why the country has been more persistent with this idea of Black Lives Matter, is that we have begun to feel the pain of other people, because we can see it and we're not so busy that we can distract ourselves and move on. It is present for us. So in my opinion, this movement toward Black Lives Matter is a brilliant and beautiful thing that will hopefully bring awareness, especially to the wider community that will bring awareness of the suffering of our neighbors. And in so doing, we might act in a different way than we would have otherwise because we didn't really know. We'll support legislation, we'll support transformation in policing and other ways that make life safer and happier for them because we don't see them as other, because we have been vulnerable to our own self. And so part of what it is, I think, to be in isolation is to be brought into the vulnerability of your own life. And while strength and power and capacity in this world is a wonderful thing, also being vulnerable to yourself is a necessary part of becoming a whole human being. Lately, as I've been thinking about what it is to be a human being, I realize that one of the things that I think is one of the ways of expressing being a human being is to consider yourself as though you're really a soul, that you're a soul having a human experience, or you're a divine or a spirit having a human experience, or you're something that transcends the body, and it is focused here in the body, but it is not the body. And that there's a evolutionary aspect to life itself, that individuals are here actually to evolve. Now, I haven't always held that as a necessary idea, but I believe in this time especially as we're working through our discomfort, it's good to know that there's more to it than our discomfort. It's once been said that Americans can handle anything except for inconvenience. So we're really not very practiced at suffering. We really expect Amazon to have it there the next day, not 2 days out. We're in a very cushy life. And we were not really asking for it to be different. It's just that we have to realize that the inconvenience we're feeling, the suffering that we're having, really it's been amplified by much more in many other parts of the world. And though we are inconvenienced and uncomfortable, most of us are still alive and healthy, and that's why we're doing this, so that we will be alive and healthy. But I want to come back to what is the meaning of life, that essentially one of the things that's stripped, when you strip away frivolous activities or unnecessary activities, and you're left with just the necessities. I saw it in the show Alone. I see it in myself as I'm sitting by myself in my own house. There's a certain clarity that comes about what's important to you, and really about the internal impetus to unfold more of yourself. And by that I mean to not protect yourself, to not be about avoiding suffering, but about clarifying your soul, your spiritual nature, clarifying that by working on your personality. And essentially bringing the personality into alignment with the divine so that the divine could shine through it. It's almost like our personalities are like curtains over the window of our being, and the light of the divine wants to shine through, but our personalities can be such that we close those curtains. And so as we purify our personality, as we clarify our personality, one, as we talked about last week, by acceptance, this other way is now about loving. So loving is one way to see with the eyes of God. We all want God to be a loving God. I mean, you really don't want the big one to be upset or be angry or to be a fiery, brimstone-throwing God. We want God to be a loving God. And in my estimation, why else would a consciousness make the universe if it wasn't going to love it? That essentially, in my opinion, the The universe is more or less an emanation of the divine, and therefore is natural for the divine to love it, love what it is. And interestingly, we are part of that, not separate from it. So by logic, the divine must love us as well, and must be infusing us with this love all the time. And we, if we want to shine the light of the divine, if we want to experience the light of the divine shining through us too, then we need to pull the curtain back. And we need to shine that love onto others. So if you hold a grudge or you're angry with someone else, you begin to close the curtain. If you judge, down it goes. Light does not come through the mind that is judging. And it doesn't come through the heart that is closed. And in essence, when we open our minds and our hearts, which will make us feel vulnerable, when we open our minds and our hearts to the world and to ourselves, then the light of God can shine through us. And the shining through us, we feel it, and everyone is blessed around us. This is the interesting thing, is that your troubles in life are there to refine your personality so that you can pull the curtain back and have divinity shining through. Because in the powerful acceptance of difficulty, we become more transparent. Acceptance is part of that process. Love is part of that process. Acceptance, love, it might be the same. And awareness of the divine, acceptance and love might be the same. That as we sit in this sense of acceptance for the world and love for the world, then we begin to extend our consciousness out so that the boundary of our self begins to weaken enough that consciousness can now penetrate out, and the awareness of the divine can penetrate in, of all that is, of the spiritual nature of things. All of this becomes more accessible to us when we dropped our defenses and become more accepting. And it's often in those difficult times that we do that. The song Amazing Grace, as many of you know, was written by a captain of a slave ship when his ship was in grave danger from a storm. It caused a conversion, a deepening of a conversion at least, into the realization that he should get out of that business and that he is actually supported by the divine and not by himself. And if we take this time of difficulty or inconvenience and we feel into our vulnerability, then we, I think, set ourselves up to love and to accept and to perceive with more clarity what is out there, what is not out there in the sense of the material world, what is out there, what is the nature of the reality, and how we are just physical expressions of a much greater self. And our job apparently in this world is to work on our personalities such that we allow the divine to shine through us. So Jesus might say something like this. He should, turn the other cheek, or forgive your brother 70 times 7, or if you have been forced to do something kind for that other person, return good for evil. These are ways of letting the light of God shine through this personality to send more light into the world. And as that personality, the light doesn't get through without affecting you. It does affect you. So as you do what is divine rather than human, returning good for evil, giving love where we're being hated, being willing to accept the difficulties of life without complaining, you become more Christ-like. And the example that Jesus' life, as it's displayed in the gospel, becomes an example of how to do that. How to, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. How to be on the cross and to feel as though you were doing something for humanity, even in your own suffering. To be a teacher and a kind person to those who are at the lower end of society. All this is God shining through him. And that's where we want to be. We want to be the one where God shines through. And not just so that we could be some hero or some saint, but because the experience of the divine shining through us actually is in itself very rewarding. It may not be easy to get ourselves to do it, but when we do actually open and do the uncommon thing, then we become that clear window pane through which the light can shine. That's why I think this rare time of the coronavirus is a collectively, because so many of us are in it, potentially an incredible time for our society. A time in which we become a much more compassionate society. We become more engaged with each other at a deeper level rather than just superficial. And that we recognize through the suffering of loneliness right now that we really can't stand to be just about ourselves. It has to include our family, our friends, even our community, even those we don't know. We are really, truly all in this together. And we will all get through it by working as one, or we will be in this soup until we get the message. So I'm hoping that we will take advantage of this. And I do think inadvertently, many of us already are, and some of us deliberately, that we are learning the lessons, what is important, who are we really, and what do we really value. And if that's all that comes out of this, that's a lot. But if we also come to this clarity that if we can see society, see the universe as an extension of ourselves and us as an extension of it, and make a determined effort to utilize the suffering that we're having now, the isolation we're having now, to realize that we are not ever really truly alone, but one with all of it. If we could come to that, imagine the world that we would create if collectively we did that. I think at this point we have essentially three choices. We can hold our breath, hoping this passes. Or we can complain and whine about what we don't have. Or we can engage the process that vulnerability brings, that isolation and sequestration and silence brings. And see if we can't recognize this soul, which is our true nature, and do our best to clear our personality of foibles, judgment, unforgiveness, unloving, anger, clear our personality of those things so that the light of God can now shine through us. If we choose option 3, I think we have the potential of creating a much better world. And certainly the world we will live in, the world of our experience, will be a much more beautiful place. I'm holding that for myself. I'll hold it for you as well. May we become better, wholer, more free, more loving, and more gracious. And let us do that by acceptance, by love, and by the recognition of our own vulnerability. Namaste.
They say everything can be replaced. They say every distance is not near. every face of everyone who put me here. I see my light come shining from the west down to the east. Any day now, anyway now, I shall be released. They say everyone needs protection. They say everyone must fall. And I see my reflection somewhere up in these hallowed walls. I see my light come shining from the west down to the east. Any day now, anyway now, I shall be released. Here stands a man in this lonely crowd, a man who says he's not to blame. And all day long I hear this man howling out so loud, just plain crying out that he's not to blame. He's not to blame. I see my light come shining from the west down to the east. Any day now, anyway now, I shall be released. Any day now, anyway now, I shall be
Hello, Unity. Dan Wilkinson here. I'm honored to serve on your board, and I'm very grateful to be part of this caring and giving spiritual community. Now we are experiencing life in the time of Corona, world problems compounded by separation between us. Yet our strong foundational goodness of this community turns those obstacles into opportunities. In the decade that I've been here, I've seen abundant love and support. I see all these things that we do that point us in the direction of divinity. So we can thrive, we are thriving, we shall overcome. Thank you for caring, thank you for giving, thank you for your support. Divine love as me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And so it is.
it's time to say goodbye, and we definitely look forward to next Sunday with you. But please be mindful that you are always in our hearts, and that in that heart of ours, all join in, nothing lacks, everything is. We love you and bless you, my friends.
So we'll see you next week, and I really appreciate the fact that you are on this journey with us. I think it makes us feel, even though this is a time of some difficulty, that we are not traveling alone.
Have a great week and see you next Sunday.
Blessings to all.
Peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be, with God as Creator, family all on me. Let us walk with our family in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyful vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
The light of God surrounds us.
I am the light of God.
The love of God enfolds us.
I am the love of God.
The power of God protects us.
I am the power of God.
And the presence of God watches over us.
I am the presence of God.
Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.